Hi, I'm Tom Groening, editor of the Working Waterfront newspaper. In November 2010, Eliot Cutler came within a couple of percentage points of becoming Maine's third independent governor in the last 40 years. Not surprisingly, he's thinking pretty seriously about running again. We sat down with Mr. Cutler in late March in the Portland offices of Maine Asia, the business he helped build, which developed trade ties with China. Cutler thinks Maine has a lot to gain by making more connections with China.
What I intend to suggest to the people of Maine, if I do run, is that with a vision, with a plan that everybody understands and is behind, we can make Maine an economic powerhouse. It's not that hard, but we've got to have leadership and we've got to have a plan, and I'm going to try to provide that. I've pursued economic relationships between Maine and China because China is going to be the biggest market in the world, not only for what we produce, but for what Americans produce. It's going to be a huge market. Our economy, built on natural resources, is an export economy. Our biggest industry is tourism. That's an export business. We export experience. And the products of our natural resources, Maine woods, the coast, our tourism, what we make, what we grow, are things that we need to sell. 5 of us started a business to export lobster to China, and for that matter to Europe, but we were focused on China. And in the last couple of years, the market in China for Maine lobster has exploded. The problem we have in China, and the problem we have all over the world, is that an awful lot of people have no idea who Maine is, what makes Maine different. We've done a lousy job of developing a brand for the state, not just for lobsters, but for everything we make and grow, for everything that people come to visit us to do and to see. Maine is a mythic state for a lot of Americans, but an awful lot of people around the world who are now becoming affluent enough to travel don't know about Maine. I saw in the newspaper, I think it was yesterday, a lobsterman was quoted as saying, everybody knows about Maine lobster. Well, no, they don't. I can tell you that 99% of the people who live in China have never heard, they don't know what Maine is. They don't know what Maine lobster is. We teach them what it is. We're going to have a huge marketplace for Maine products, and if we do that, the oversupply we had last summer is going to have a much bigger market in which to be absorbed, and it's going to stabilize pricing. These are the top officials at the largest food distribution company in China. We brought them here so that they could see what Maine was all about, how we harvested the lobster, that it is sustainable, that it's traceable. These are important factors for them. We brought them here. We took them out on boats to experience a lobster dinner. And this is where it ended up. It ended up in a carton in Chinese, labeled Maine lobster. People order from their websites. It's a frozen, in the shell, Maine lobster, delivered to their door by a B2C website run by Kafka, which is China's biggest food distributor. They produce videos to show how to cook Maine lobster. When you engage in that kind of marketing effort, you bring them here, it works. We did the same thing for Maine-built boats. We got together with Hodgdon, with Morris, with Hinckley, with Sabre and Back Cove, and we brought to Maine Chinese journalists and photographers. We took them to see where the boats were built. It was spectacular. We've had huge spreads with photographs and interviews in the biggest magazines, boating magazines in China. Fabulous stuff. It's beginning to build a Maine brand. And what they write about Maine-built boats is they basically said in these articles, these are the best boats in the world. And oh, by the way, they also talk about how wonderful a place Maine is because they've been here. And then one fellow wrote in one of these magazines, once you've been to Maine, Florida doesn't seem so special.